So I wonder what keeps you awake at night. Usually we use that phrase for things maybe that cause us those anxious feelings which can keep sleep from us when maybe we need it the most. But in my experience, sleepless nights can also come for positive reasons, for excitement or something that's going to happen, and not just when we're little children waiting for Christmas or birthdays or whatever it might be. But sometimes, and I was having this conversation with a colleague recently, sleepless nights just come for no particular reason other than there's something that matters, something that's driving us, something that causes us to be ready and to need to be awake. And it always amazes me how, though sometimes it can be a real struggle to get up, if there's something really important, a train to catch or a particular thing to do, my mind has a remarkable way of waking me up at the right time, simply because there are high stakes here, something that needs to be done. Well, we're going to hear a story of Jesus who has a sleepless night. That's the way in which I'm directing your attention as we hear this story from Mark chapter 1, and it's verses 29 to 39. As soon as they left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John, now Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. He came and took her by the hand and lifted her up. Then the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening, at sunset, they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons. And the whole city was gathered around the door. And he cured many who were sick with various diseases, and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak, because they knew him. In the morning, while it was still very dark, he got up and went out to a deserted place, and there he prayed. And Simon and his companions hunted for him. When they found him, they said to him, "Everyone is searching for you." He answered, "Let us go on to the neighboring towns, so that I may proclaim the message there also. For that is what I came out to do." And he went throughout Galilee, proclaiming the message in their synagogues and casting out demons. Well, it seems to me that Jesus ought to have had a good night's rest. Having entered the home of Simon and Andrew and enjoyed the hospitality of a multi-generational household, and we're even told that Simon's mother-in-law, whom he heals, then goes on to serve, and one imagines the hospitality that she would have extended in her gratitude to Jesus. But it's not just that Jesus is in a comfortable domestic setting, that I say that Jesus ought to be at ease here in this house. Also because even though we are told of a healing miracle, the curing of the fever of Simon's mother-in-law, there's a notable absence. There is no evil spirit in this household that needs to be driven out. And there is this clear distinction, two sides to Jesus' miracle work, healing work in this story that is very, very marked. And that is, on the one hand, Jesus cures diseases and illnesses. And on the other hand, he drives out demons. And one could well imagine that from any kind of medical point of view, there's very little to distinguish, seeing it from the point of view of those from the culture that Jesus is part of, between those possessed of evil spirits and those who have diseases. And Simon's mother-in-law, with her fever, could well have been delirious and maybe saying things that were strange and nonsensical, and could well have been mistaken for possession by some sort of spirit. But that is not part of this story. This is a straightforward curing. That everyday side to the work that Jesus does in bringing health and wholeness to the communities in which he works. And that's in contrast to what's come immediately before this story, which is the healing in the synagogue, where it is very definitely a driving out of the spirit, an evil spirit. And you'll notice at the end of this story that Jesus is going to go to the synagogues of Galilee and to drive out demons. And it is when Jesus is driving out demons that his authority and power is truly shown. In a few verses' time, Jesus will go to the Nazareth synagogue. And there we're told that he was not able to show his power because of the familiarity, the people who don't accept him as a prophet. But he is only able to cure some diseases. That distinction between the everyday work of curing diseases and the powerful, authoritative work of driving out evil spirits. And so here in this domestic setting, it is that everyday work. So Jesus ought to have had an easy night in this comfortable place where the evil spirits are very much kept at bay. But Jesus does wake early, and he does go out to his quiet place. And maybe, like me, you will think of sort of retreats or quiet days or prayer times that you've had where it's been going away to a comfortable place to be pampered and to find a lovely green and gentle place to reflect. The wilderness, the lonely places for Jesus, of course, are places of high stakes, like the temptations in the wilderness, where Jesus is set between, on the one hand, Satan's temptations, and the other hand, the ministering of the angels. It is the high stakes place that Jesus goes to in the middle of the night or in the early hours, not some place of release and tranquility. And so it seems to me, as many of us will find ourselves stuck in our domestic places, those places where we are comfortable and where maybe it's all too easy to get a good night's sleep. And here am I recording this in my own bedroom because of lockdown. However it is that we deal with the gospel language of demon possession, and some of us will find that more or less comfortable, and I'm on the less comfortable side, I think, but nonetheless, just hear that language of demon possession as the high stakes language, when for Jesus it's about bringing to bear onto the world in which he lives the reality and the challenge of the coming of the kingdom of God. What does it mean for us, even in our domestic settings, to be driven, to be reminded of those high stakes issues for us in terms of what does it mean for the gospel of Jesus Christ to impact upon the world in which we live in these high stakes ways to end poverty, to bring peace, to teach us ways to live compassionately and sustainably in the world in which God has made. Where are those high stakes discussions which drive us back to those places where we encounter the authority and power of the God who reveals himself to us in Jesus Christ?